Hello and welcome. My name is Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind the Country Chic Cottage. So today we're going to talk about Cricut offset. So a couple of weeks ago now, Cricut released an offset feature and it's something people have been waiting for a long time. If you've owned your Cricut for any amount of time, you've probably wished and wanted for an offset feature, and it's finally here. So first of all, let's talk about where offset's available. It's only available on desktop right now, first of all, and you need to have a computer that has Windows 10, 64-bit only or higher, or the Mac operating system 10.15 or higher. Rewind that if you need to listen to that again, but you do need to have that for offset to work. Now, offset does work on all machines. So you have the Joy, the Explorer, the Maker, does not matter, works on all the machines. You just need desktop or laptop computer to make it work and those restrictions on your operating system. Now, it does not work on iPad, iPhone, Android at the filming of this video. So let's open up our computer. Let's take a look at how offset works. First of all, before we do that though, let's talk about what offset is. So offset, the term, basically means, so if you've ever had a picture and you wanted to, say, go out just about 1/4 of an inch around the picture and cut around the picture instead of right on the picture, that amount of distance is an offset. So whether you want to go around text or images or whatever, the offset function sort of traces the image. And so if I wanted to cut, a circle, I just draw a circle that's bigger. But if I wanted to cut around a cursive word, I would need that blade to follow the same path as the word, but just a little bit larger than the word itself, because I don't want to cut on the word. I want to cut around it. Offset is the feature that allows you to do that. So this is perfect for you sticker makers. Yes, indeed. Let's hop into Design Space and let's see how to use it with fonts, images, and so much more. So first of all, when you pull up your Design Space canvas, if you do not see the offset button, so if I highlight one of these, you can see that offset is up here on your toolbar. If you do not see that button, again, go back and rewind this video and I talk about the requirements for your computer. But the next thing you need to check is over here. You just pull down this hamburger menu here and we go to Settings, and you need to make sure the canvas style is set to New. If you have it on Classic, you will not see the offset feature. And then of course you need to make sure that your Design Space is up to date. So now let's actually use the feature. So I have several different things pulled up here on my canvas, so let me move some of these out of the way and we will talk about the first and most simple. So this first one here is a Cricut font and we'll do some offsets on it. So when you pull down offset, you can move it. Let's actually move our word over here so we can see a little bit more. Click the object, click offset, and if you move it out, you'll see the offset gets larger. The maximum is 1 inch around your design, so just note that. And then you can also choose from rounded corners or square corners. Square corners would look something like that. And this weld offset button is because you can make, like in this case, each letter has its own offset. See how they're not connected? But if I increase those and then weld them, they're connected together now. So you can play around with this and decide how you would like your offset to look. Once you're happy with it, you click Apply and it becomes another layer in your canvas. So we have the Hello layer itself and we have the layer that is the offset. And you can change the color of both that as well as the color of your text. You can play around with it. Since I moved it off, if you want to put it back together, I would do a line and then I would do center. So those would be centered together again. And so then they are not attached or welded together when you create the offset. So let's take a look at what each of those features do. So if I pick both objects, first of all, if I wanted to slice the word out of the offset, say I wanted to use infusible ink, I might use the slice function. So I would click slice, and then I could remove this center portion here, and then I would have two layers that would fit inside one another. So I'm going to undo all that. So now that the slice is undone, we can pick them both, and if I just wanted to group them together, that would make them where I could move them on my canvas together. So then I can ungroup those. If you weld them, that would make them one piece. So if you weld it, it would just become one piece, so one big hello. So it would basically be the same as just the offset by itself. So that's not very useful when dealing with the offset. If I pick them and I attach them together, that means that the word hello, the text, will cut out of the offset box. So when I click make it, we can see that that hello is going to cut out of that offset box. So that might be something that's useful when you're dealing with certain things. So let's detach. So now I undid that, so let's pick them both and do flatten. What does that do? That makes the entire thing a print then cut. This is what you would do if you were going to make a sticker. Now it would print and then cut around this outside yellow edge. Once I flattened it, it would not cut around this green edge, it would just print the green. So that's how you would make stickers using the offset option. So now that we've went through sort of the basics of offset with a pretty simple shape here, let's head over and let's look at a few different options. So this font is a font on my computer. So it's called Apricots. It's one of my system fonts. So will offset work on my system fonts? Let's find out. So first of all, if you see, it remembers where I was last time. So I had a 0.25 offset on this hello, and it remembers that that's what I had. So it's going to do that a second time. And let's move this over here, move the hello down, and do offset. So now same thing. I can make it as big as I want or as small as I want. I could, try the square if I wanted to. I could unweld them, which I do not want to do. And then I just click apply when I'm ready. So perfect offset would look great on just about anything. Now for this one, it would cut out as like two, if I was doing stickers again, like I did with the hello and the flatten, it would cut out as two different words or two different stickers the way I have it. So let's look at if I wanted to separate that. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, this is text right now. So I'm going to weld that together. So now that good vibes is one piece and this is one piece. So let's copy that. And let's copy this one. And now I just want the good portion on one and the vibes on another because I want to separate them out. You can do that a couple different ways. You could use the contour function or you can use the slice function. Either way you want to do that. If I'm on that offset and I click contour, I could remove one of those and click the X to close, and now I would have the good by itself. And I could repeat for the lettering, and I could do that for both, and that way I could have like two separate stickers and I could move them around where I wanted them. So here I have that done, and let's change the material color so we can see a little bit better. And we will align both of these. And now what I could do is play around with placement. So I could group these two together, group these two together, and we could play around with putting them one on top of one another, something like that, and making one sticker. So that's a way you could play around with it. And you will need to watch, see how this offset is slightly over the vibes. And what we would do is arrange, and we could bring this one to the front. And I think that looks a little bit better. So you might want to play around with like placement and things like that with the text that you make. All right, so that's great for cursive text, but this is a font on my computer and it's all separate letters, and you can see there's an inside to this font. So what happens if we offset on this one? So it actually works pretty well on this one. All right, so let's click apply when it's at this size and take a look at what we have. So I like the offset around the outside edge, but I have all these little bitty pieces on the inside because of the way this font is created. So how are we going to get rid of those? That again is going to be the contour function. So we would click on the offset itself and click contour. And then what we could do is hide all of these little contour pieces to make it look a little bit better. So you may have to do that on some of these, especially if you're pulling up a font like this where it had quite a bit of spacing in between the letters, but I liked the way it looked, so I didn't want to change the spacing. So what you would do is just remove the contours, and then now I have a pretty good looking outline for my text, and I'll change the color on that so we can take a better look. And now I have a really good looking offset without all those spaces in it. So that's how to fix that if you run into that issue. So now let's look at, so these are all contours going around the outside edge. Let's talk about a contour on the inside. Right, so this is also text on my computer. The font is called Impact. And if we go to offset on this one, you could see, of course, this is the one I used before. It's around the outside. If I move my slider to the left, it starts to do an internal contour. So let's just go in a little bit and let's click apply. And now you can see that I have a blue outline, which was my original text, and black inside, which is actually the offset. So it's an internal offset. Again, when you do this, it becomes two different layers within your program, and I can change the color of the second layer. I can play around with it at this point and make whatever I wanted to with an internal offset. So that's another thing to kind of think about when you're playing around with offset in Cricut Design Space. So now let's look at images. First up is this image, and it is in Cricut Design Space. So it's a Cricut Design Space image, and I can do my offset just like I could with my text, right? And so I can play with how big or how small I would like it to be. And then we could also, play around with the rounded or square, and we could weld it or not weld it, which would mean it would go around every piece, which I do not like. So I'm going to weld it, and then I would click apply. And so now this guy has an outline, and let's make it white. Maybe not. Let's try blue. There we go. So what we can do with this one is we could layer vinyl, we could layer HTV, we could do whatever we wanted to do, but we could also do a print and cut sticker. So how would we do a print and cut sticker? We would pick everything and do flatten. And now it would print this, and it would just cut around this blue portion as the cut because I flattened everything to the offset. So hopefully that helps explain how to do a print and cut sticker and work with images in Design Space. But what about your own images? Those work as well. So this image I uploaded as just a PNG file. So it's just a picture. That's all this is. And you can see over here in my layers panel that this is actually uploaded as a print and cut file already. So will offset work? Let's find out. So I can click offset, and in this case it's wanting to go around all those little bitty pieces again because it sees all those, which is fine, right? Because we have that contour function. So I can, if I liked this, maybe go in a little bit. If I like this, I could just click apply, and then I could find my offset. Let's change the color once again. Let's try maybe. That's better. And again, I could do contour to take out all these internal pieces, because right now, if I take this and do flatten, what it's going to do is print this, and then it's going to cut around all these purple areas. So all these internal things, it is going to cut them right now. So what you need to do, so you cannot contour once you've flattened it. So I'm going to unflatten this. So what happens when I imported that print and cut image and then I did the offset on a print and cut image, the offset itself also is a print and cut when it comes up. So what we're going to need to do, because you cannot contour a print and cut, we're going to change that to a cut, and now the contour button will highlight when we click on it. So now we could click contour and get rid of all those middle pieces. So now we can get rid of all these. And now we could change the gray to the purple. And we have a pretty cute sticker. We could flatten that, and it is ready for a sticker. Once again, you can do these you don't have to make stickers with the offset function. You could definitely do layered HTV, layered vinyl. You could use this for paper projects. All right, so now let's talk about SVG files. So this one was imported as a picture. This one is imported as an SVG. And I have ungrouped it already, so they are cut files. So both of them say cut. Now I could do like I've been doing. I could pick them both. I can click offset, and it goes around the entire thing. But let's take a look at another way to do that. Because they're two different pieces, I can just offset one. So maybe for some kind of design, we wanted to offset just one of those. And now I can take the offset and let's make it a different color of purple. And then what we could actually do is pick everything and do offset again. So you can do double offset, triple offset, whatever you want to do. So let's say that that looks pretty good. And let's make that offset maybe an even lighter color of purple. And then we could pick it one more time, offset. And this time we want to go all the way around that outside edge and get rid of all those internal pieces. And click apply. So now it's beginning to look a little something like a sticker. And we could change that one to maybe white. And so now if we click everything in that and flatten it out, it's going to print this Today I Choose Joy, and it's going to cut around this white piece. So it would be like a sticker that had white around it, and a lot of people do stickers like that, so I did want to cover that. But you can do multiple offsets within Cricut Design Space with this tool. All right, so something I did want to talk about. So offset is not on my iPad, but once I designed all those on my computer, I can save the file, and now I can pull it up on my iPhone or iPad, because the offset feature just makes another layer, a cut layer in Design Space. So you can pull those up now on your iPad or iPhone and cut them with your mobile device. You just can't design with offset on your mobile device, if that helps at all. I did want to point that out just in case some of you might design on your computer and then cut on the go with your phone. I do it quite a bit. You can pull those up on your phone and cut them even though they were designed with the offset feature. So I just wanted to note that. But otherwise, hopefully you enjoyed this video all about offset. If you have any questions, like anything I didn't cover, drop down in the comment section, ask away. If you liked this video, if it helped you, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, I don't know why you are not, but subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have tons of videos like this all the time, and you don't want to miss any of those. So I hope to have some more videos. There was a few more smaller features. Offset's the big guy, but there are a few more smaller features released for Design Space, and I hope to have some videos up on them very soon. So be sure to follow along so you don't miss any of those. Thank y'all so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.